All right, good afternoon. You are welcome to our today's class. Today, we'll take a look at biology. And our topic for today is variation in population. Variation in population. Variation in population. Okay. So, a very important question is, what is population? Population is actually a group of organisms belonging to the same species that occupy a defined geographical area, but within a specific period of time. So, you know that organisms of the same species, they share close features. They are the same thing, but they are not totally the same. There are one or two differences. That is where variation comes in. So what is variation? Variation is the observable differences that occur among individuals of the same species. Observable differences that occur between individuals of the same species. That is what variation is. So, it's very important to note that even though members of the same species have similar characteristics, you can never, no two individuals have exactly the same thing, with the exception of identical twins, because identical twins come from the same egg. Now, it's also very important to note that, of course, identical twins so that have some environmental different environmental upbringing, they still have one or two differences, but basically that is where you can have some exception in terms of how they came originally. It's only in identical twins you see such. So what are these differences we are talking about? The differences we are talking about in variation in things like appearance, see it in the body size, even in the physiology and genetic makeup. So now there are two categories of variations. Two categories of variations. We have the one called morphological variations, and we have physiological variation. Morphological variation and physiological variation. What is morphological variation? Morphological variation talks about this involve the differences in the outward physical features of the individual or the organisms. So the difference in their appearance, the outward physical features, is what is called what? Morphological variation. Now, there's something I want to point out. Yes, we know we have what is it called? We have morphological variation and physiological variation, but we also have discontinuous and continuous. These are different ways of classifying variation. I'll throw more light on that. Now, morphological variation. What are the morphological variations? It's also what continuous. Yes. Now, most times, morphological variations we see are most times continuous. Let me explain what I mean by continuous. A continuous variation is that variation in which there is no distinct. If something is continuous, it shows gradual from this color is black. Gradually, the color will keep going and going down to enter into another color. You don't say that this is where the black stops. No. Or you see that somebody's height. Somebody's height is forget that we say that somebody's height is is a 17.1 meters or 171 cm. That thing is not a distinct number. Is an approximate. So now the height, body height, there's no clear cut distance that this is where it stops. It's gradual. There is always an intermediate. This is height. The height gradually joins the next, the upper one, or the upper one, lower one joins the upper one. There's no distinct point. You say that this is where the height stops. So the things like skin color, body weight, even the fingerprint pattern, all these are under what? All these are under what? Continuous variation. Remember, these things are what you see with your eyes. Morphological variation are the one that you see with the eyes. It's not you don't need to test. Once you see the individual, you know that this is the person. Now, so as I said before, now, I mentioned height, I mentioned weight. These things are under body size, and they are also called continuous variation. They also called what? Continuous variation. Color differences like color, skin color, eye color, hair color, even in animals, not only human being, lower animals, the coat color of animals, even the color of the scales and the feathers in animals. These things are under what? Morphological discontinuous variation. Good. Now, what I want you to note in this morphological, you can also recall structural variation. What I want you to note about this morphological or structural variation or continuous, as case may be, is that they are usually influenced by genes and environmental factors. Genes. So there is genetic and environmental interplay in morphological variation. Let us note that point. And let me go to the second categories of variation. Second broad category of variation, physiological variation. So what do we mean by physiological variation? Physiological variations are differences in the internal functioning or behavior of an individual, of individuals of the same species. Okay, these are individuals of this species. Okay, let's use human being. We all human beings belong to Homo sapiens, same species. But even at that now, so that we have behavioral differences in the way we behave. We also have differences in our body function, internal body function. So these ones are under what? Physiological variation. Variation, they are not outwardly visible. Unlike what you see in what morphological variation. Physiological variations are discontinuous. Sorry, physiological variation is discontinuous. See what I mean? What it means is that there is big If you are this or that, you are not this and enter this. No, it's either you are this or that. Something like a blog group. You are blog group A. That's where what you are blogging. You are blog group A. You are blog group O. There is no intermediate. There is no what intermediate. So then that is in terms of internal function. And then at behavioral, let's look at it from the aspect of angle of the behavioral traits. Behavioral traits. Someone may be calm, there are people that are calm. Some are easily excited. So these are, it's either you are calm or you are not calm. There's no in between calm. If you are calm, you are calm. If you're not calm, you're not calm. So calmness is also part of what? Behavioral trait aspect of what? Physiological what? Variation. Then so abilities, yes, abilities, individual ability, but my ability may not be the same thing with your own word ability. Some have the ability to roll their tongue. Some have the ability to do what? Test PTC. What is PTC? Phenylthiocarbamide. Phenylthiocarbamide. So some individuals have the ability to do what? Test what? Test what? Phenylthiocarbamide. So it's very important we understand these things, okay? So as I said before, now physiological variation, it first talks about the differences in what? Functioning, abilities of individual. This one cannot be what? Seen physically, can test it. There are some that can roll their tongues, some cannot do that. Roll it into U shape. Amazing. People have that ability, but some don't have it. So it's continuous because if you have it, you have it. You don't have the ability, you don't have the ability. So now the trait is genetically controlled. The ability to roll the tongue is genetically what? Controlled. Now, ability to test PTC. I've told you that PTC is what? Phenylthiocarbamide. It tests beta. Some people can test it and get that beta. Some people cannot even detect any test if they test it. So this particular ability is controlled by a pair of genes, and it's known as what? It's an example of what is continuous variation. I've said that before. The blood groups, the differences in human blood group. There are 4 blood groups we know. We have A, we have B, we have AB, and we have O. This blood group is determined by genes that we inherited from our what? Our parents. Of course, now the importance of blood group in medicine cannot be overemphasized. In medicine, even crime detection, even paternity testing cannot be overemphasized. So let us note what this point, okay? Let's note this point. Very, very what important. Now, let's continue. So, what are the causes of variation? What are the causes of variation? What are the causes of variation? Remember, the factors are that cause that I mentioned in variation, hereditary, genetic, and environment. Heredity and what? Environment. And I said before that there is a kind of an interplay, genetic and environmental interplay. So let's start from what? Genetic differences. Sorry. So this, okay, the differences, changes in the gene, that is mutation. Yes, change in the gene, that is mutation, can, a mutation that takes place in a particular generation can be passed down from that generation to the next generation. So if a mutation takes place in this particular a particular generation and is passed down to the generation, that means to the next generation or to the offerings, that means the difference caused by that, the, the, the difference caused by that mutation will persist in that particular generation, where the one that don't have such mutation will not have that change. So after that, it will look as if these people have this particular ability or feature. Why did these people that did not experience such mutation have do not have that particular word features? I've been on seeing how mutation, change in the trait, can cause what variation. Yes, it's very important we know that. Let me be specific. A gene for green fruits in plants, a gene in a particular plant, gene for green fruits may change to produce yellow fruits. And over time, it will see it's only yellow fruit that this particular one produce. Whereas the one that looked like the same thing, the same species, is now maintained green. But this one that there's mutation has taken place will be giving yellow what fruits. But they are the same species. So that's what mutation can cause. So this is a source, genetic source of what? Genetic source of what? Of variation, mutation. So now let's look at the environmental. How does the environment influence? How does environment influence variation? Now, some environmental factors like nutrition, the type of food you eat, type of housing, the type of house where you stay or grew up, health care, access to health care, education, very important to education. Two twins who may come from the same mother, they have the same gene, almost everything, just because one was trained in the ghetto and one was trained in a very good environment, their behavior will not be the same thing. Have you seen how what is it called? How environment can influence what? Can influence what? Can cause variation. Of course, even though yes, this one that has to do with behavior is under physiological what? Variation. The behavioral aspect of what? Physiological what? Variation. And now another example is parental care. Yes, the way parents train up their children can cause differences in children. These children are human beings, so under the same species, but they will now have there's now a big difference on how this particular children reason from this family, reason and behave from how this one from this particular family reason and behave. Variation to parental care and upbringing. Someone that if you eat well and take care of your health, then you can't expect to be the same state with someone that is careless with his or her health and nutrition, as the case may be. Have you seen how environmental factors influence variation? How environmental factors influence variation? So naturally, intelligent children or child that is raised in an unfavorable, no this point, an intelligent child that is raised on an unfavorable environment may not perform well academically, or at least live up to his fullness of his potential. Yes, that such a child limited, and most times they even go good and die without fulfilling their goals because of what? Upbringing. So all these things influence what? Variation. Okay, let's continue. Let's look at the application. Let's look at applications of variation. But before then, I want to look at the I want to differentiate between the variations. Let me be specific. Let me, because this one can be confusing. Let me be specific on continuous and discontinuous variation. Let me differentiate between continuous and discontinuous variation. In terms of number of categories, this or that. Continuous variation, there is no clear cut. No clear cut. No. It's a gradual move from this to this gradual. There's no clear cuts. Then that means there are many groups, but no, they are not clear cuts. No, they're not distinct. But this discontinuous variation, there is a distinct, we have distinct groups. This is where you are. This is who you are. You are not this, you are not this, you are this, you are this. Just distinct group in what? There is distinct group in a discontinuous variation. There is distinct group in discontinuous variation. Now let's look at examples of them. We have mentioned them. For continuous variation, we have height, weight, skin color, or what have you. But for discontinuous, you have things like the blood, tongue rolling, ability to test PTC, and what have you. Then let's look at what factor influence each of them more. For continuous variation, there is a very serious environmental factor. Environmental factor play a very strong, very serious role in continuous variation. So it's influenced heavily by environmental factors. But discontinuous, mainly genetic. There could be environmental, but mainly genetic most times. Mainly genetic. So let's assume that you want to represent data statistically. How can you represent the data in continuous variation? Because it's not distinct, it's continuous. You use what? Histogram. You use histogram to represent the data that's coming from continuous variation. But for discontinuous variation, you use bar charts. You can use bar charts because they are distinct groups. Each of them have, let's look at their difference in terms of one that have intermediate groups. In continuous variation, there is intermediates. In continuous variation, there is intermediates. Move like this. But in discontinuous, there is no intermediate. It's here, 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 or here. It's not gradual. It's here or here. Please, let's note that point. Now let's go to Let's go to the applications of variation. Applications of variation. Variation can be applied in crime detection. Crime detection. Using the word fingerprints. Your fingerprints can be used to catch, can be used to track you or catch a criminal where you touched. You know, we have different styles, and we have the arc, we have the loop type, we have the hole, and we have compound. No matter what it is, that can be used to trap a criminal because he is unique to individuals. So fingerprint is unique to what? Fingerprint pattern is unique to individuals. Now, variation can also be applied in paternity testing. Things like blood group. Blood group can be used to determine biological relationships. Who is the father of the baby? Can use what? Blood group to determine that. Does variation have any use in the agricultural improvement? Yes. Yes, because variation helps in producing hybrids that have desirable traits. So through variation, a particular hybrid of desirable traits that maybe can withstand a particular situation, condition, such thing such the variation can be applied to achieve that. Very important. Very important. Now, let's look at human classification. It's used in classifying human beings. Yes. Something like blood group now. Because of the blood group basis, we now have human being can be classified into those in our blood A. There's no in between blood group A and see why this blood group is also discontinuous. There's no blood group A. There's no in between blood group A and blood group B. Is that you are blood group A or you are blood group B? So we have blood group A, blood group AB, blood group name them. Blood group A, blood group what again? AB, what else? Blood group O, how many are they? How many are they? How many are they? So it's very important we know that, okay? So we also know the one that are the universal donor, the one that are universal donor, universal recipients, okay? So we have A, B, O, and B. All right. So let's continue. So we can classify human being based on even blood group. Yeah. But that blood group, apart from blood group, human being can also be classified based on their skin color too. Skin color, skin texture, the nose shape, into different groups. We have the Caucasoid, we are the European, so we have the Negroid skin color, black Africans, we have the Mongoloids, the Chinese and Japanese, we have the Australoids, Australian natives. Just all these features can be used to do what? Classify human being into different races. Then Blood transfusion, very important too, even though the one I mentioned before about using blood group to classify human being, those in blood group A, those in blood group B, those in blood group AB, and those in blood group O. Yes, but very important aspect I want us to point out is what? Blood transfusion. Blood what? Transfusion. Before, knowledge of this now variation will help us to be able to apply it well in blood transfusion. Knowing fully well that if you want to donate a blood, the blood must be what? Compatible with what? The recipient's own. So each blood group contains specific antigens on the red cell and antibodies in the plasma. Antigens on the red cells, antibodies in the what? In the what? Plasma. So people with blood group O, as I said, are universal donor. What it means that they can give to anybody. Those with blood group O can donate blood to anybody, but they can only receive blood group O. Note that point. Those in blood group AB, they are universal recipient. They can receive from any blood group, but they can only donate to blood group AB. Then those in A and B, you have to donate and receive from you. A and B, A, B, and B. A can donate to A, receive from A. A donate to A, receive from A, receive from O. A donate to A, receive from A, then can receive from O. Then can also donate to AB. So this whole thing is simple. Just let me not confuse it, but just understand it that those in O can donate to anybody, but they can receive from only from O. Those in AB can receive from any source, but can only donate to what? AB. AB and the O. All right. Please, if you have any question, feel free, okay? Feel free. Okay. So blood group is entirely different topic we'll go into sometime later. So I just mentioned it here for the purpose of applications of what? Variation. For the purpose of what? Applications of what? Variation. Okay. So let's look at some questions and see what we can make out of the questions. Question number one says, variation in a population refers to A, the number of species living in an ecosystem. B, differences among individuals of the same species. C, the similarity found in all organisms on Earth. D, differences between organisms of different kingdom. The answer is B, differences among individuals of the same species. The reason is that variation specifically deals with what? differences that exist among individuals of the same species. So that is why the answer is what? B. Other ones are not the answer. Option A says number of species living in an organism, in an ecosystem. This one is defining population. It's talking about population and size, not about population size, not about what variation. Option C says the similarity found in all organisms on Earth. Variation is about differences, not similarity. So that's why C is not the answer. Option D says variation, the difference between organisms of different kingdom. Variation is all about differences within one species, not across the kingdom. So the answer to number one is B. Question 2 says a population is best defined as A, organisms of different species living together. B, members of the same species living in the same area. C, animals living in water only. D, any number of living organisms in a forest. The answer is option B, organisms of the same species in a defined area. In a defined area. Okay. Option A, population. See that option A say that organism of different species living together. The other one is defining community. It's not population. C says animals living in water only. No. It goes beyond animal living in water only. So D says any number of living organisms in a forest. This option is there to confuse you. This option is there to confuse you. So the answer is what? B. A population consists of organisms of the same species in a defined area. Question 3 says, which statement best describes morphological variation? Which statement best describes morphological variation? Which statement best describes morphological variation? A, differences in internal physiological processes. B, differences that show clear-cut classes without intermediates. C, visible physical differences that change gradually. D, sudden genetic changes due to mutation. The answer is E. Sorry, the answer is C. The answer is C because morphological variation basically deals with what? Visible features that gradually transits continuous. Gradually transits continuous. It's not extended. That's why morphological variation is taken as continuous variation. Gradually what? Transition. Gradual transition. So the answer is what? C. C. Option A. Let's look at why the other options are not correct. Option A says differences in internal physiological process. No, this one is talking about physiological variation. Option B says differences that show clear-cut classes without intermediate. This one is specifically talking about what? Discontinuous variation. Option D says describes mutation. Option C says sudden genetic changes due to mutation. No. Here we are talking about what? Mutation. This one is talking about what? Mutation. Option number 4 says, which of the following is an example of continuous variation? A, blood group. B, ability to roll the tongue. C, fingerprint pattern. D, height. The answer is D, height. I did justice to this topic. So the question should not be strong, should not be difficult. Sorry. Option A, the answer is D. Option D, height, because height varies across a range. There's no distinct categories. So height varies across a range. So there's no distinct what categories. So the answer is what? The height. Let's look at why the other options are not correct. A, block group. Block group is a discontinuous. It's either you are block group A, or block group B, or block group AB, or block group C. I'm not talking about resource factors now. So each of them, so this is distinct. So you see discontinuous variation. Option B says ability to roll the tongue. Because now it's either you can roll your tongue or you cannot roll it. So ability to roll the tongue is a discontinuous variation. Option C says fingerprint pattern. Yes, fingerprint pattern is a distinct feature, even though it's diverse, but still the pattern fall into two distinct types. So it's not continuous. It's right, is this distinct type, this or that. All right, let's look at question number 5. Question number 5 says physiological variation is mainly concerned with A, visible features like skin color, B, internal functioning of the body, C, size and weight differences, D, classification of what? Races. Classification of what? Races. The answer is B. Physiological variation is mainly concerned with what? Internal functions of the body. Remember, OBJ answers is the most appropriate, please. So the most appropriate option for this question is 5. B. Internal functioning of what? The body. Let's look at why is the answer. Is the answer because physiological variation actually has a lot to do with internal processes like blood groups, name them. Blood group, growing of tongue, so it's internal. Option A says visible features like nose. No, this one is not. This one is morphological. This one is what? Morphological. C says size and weight differences. Size and weight differences is what? Morphological variation. This is classification of what? Races. No, this one is not talking about physiological variation. This one is talking about what? Applications of variation, use of variation. How we can apply variation. That's what that one is talking about. Okay. Question 6 says, which of the following correctly matches the type of variation with its example? Which of the following correctly matches the type of variation with its example? A, morphological / blood group. B, physiological hyphen height. C, physiological hyphen ability to grow the tongue. D, morphological hyphen PTC testing. Let's see. Option A says morphological blood group. Morphological blood group. Blood group is not a morphological variation. Blood group is not a physiological variation. So A is not the answer. B, physiological height. Height is not a physiological variation, it's a morphological variation. So B is not the answer. C says physiological hyphen ability to roll the tongue. Yes, C is the answer. Because ability to roll the tongue is a physiological and also the, the discontinuous what? Variation. So C is the answer. This is morphological hyphen PTC testing. PTC testing is not morphological. It's not what morphological. It is what it is what physiological. So the answer is to it, number 6 is what? C. Physiological. Physiological, then ability to do what? Roll the tongue. Question number 7. Genetic variation. Genetic variation may arise. Genetic variation may arise from A, pollution of the environment, B, sudden change in genes, C, poor nutrition, D, lack of what? Education. What's the answer? Sudden changes in gene. Sudden changes in gene. Sudden changes in gene. That's mutation for you. Mutation for you. So mutation is a major cause of what? Variation. I think I explained this at length, so I don't want to go deep into it again. So the answer to this question number 7 is what? B. Sudden changes in the what? In the gene. Other ones are not about the genetic, they are just environmental factors. All right, we'll stop here for today. I'm already feeling sleepy. We'll stop here for today. Please, if you have any questions, feel free to drop your questions, okay? And God will bless you as you do so. See you next time.